Hello, Terrier55 Stepney here with a complete sort of start to finish behind the scenes video talking through how I made the Slate Escape. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's probably best if you go do that first. I've split this video into different sections and sort of time-lapse them in the description, so if you want to skip to a specific bit, like how I filmed it or edited it, then just you do that. Right, so we've got a lot to cover, so I'll get started. So we start off with the script, but this also includes the basic idea of what the episode's going to be about. If you were watching the spontaneous livestream we did back in 2016, then you may remember we were talking about potentially tying my previous episodes to Railway Thieves and the Not So Great Train Robbery off together as a trilogy. So going back to early 2016, I wrote the Railway Thieves as an attempt to sort of try and film something slightly more human and away from Thomas, just to sort of prove I could do it. I mean, also because I'm a psychopath, I wanted to make a big explosion. In case it wasn't obvious that the explosions and fire were real, then here are some of the remains of the burnt out models. Oops. One of the aims of my series is to write what the official Thomas and Friends series can't actually do because of their restraints and political correctness and yada yada. But, you know, still try and keep it at least PG nowadays anyway, because I know there are a lot of younger viewers watching, so sorry. So along came John and Jerry, two amateur thieves that are rebels without a cause and try to earn a living for themselves through the sinister side, and completely failing. Their names are a play on Ron and Reggie Cray, two very notorious gangsters of London in the 50s and 60s, but their personalities aren't entirely based on them. John is the leader of the two. He comes up with an idea and will try to get it done no matter what, but unfortunately he doesn't have the strategy to go with his ideas, which is where Jerry comes into it. Ugh. It's clear these two go way back and that Jerry is even more dim-witted than John is, but has the crucial logic that he lacks, allowing him to be the more practical of the two when conducting crime. These two didn't have surnames until the Slate Escape, but Larson for John derives from the term larcener, a synonym for a thief, and Dolto is created from being doltish or dim-witted. Following on from the Railway Thieves, you can go and watch it yourself with the links in the description, I won't spoil it for you. I wanted to take full advantage of having two named criminals on Sodor, but needed a crime that would actually relate them to the railway. So I staged a Thomasified adaptation of the Great Train Robbery, but with an entirely different spin on things. Now, before anyone thinks I'm being disrespectful to the original historical events or films, I did in fact do a lot of research before writing the scripts to get as many details as accurate as possible. Replicating every scene word for word just would have been pointless, so instead each story is like heavily referenced. For instance, in the Not So Great Train Robbery, a post train is hijacked and robbed because criminals tampered with a signal making it appear at danger. Then they take over the train and drive it to a bridge where they unload the cash into waiting lorries, with a white sheet tied by the line side to mark the location. In the Slate Escape, there is a prison escape, obviously, and those involved form 3 tunnels underground, named Tom, Dick and Harry, using makeshift tools and pulley systems to transport the dirt out of the tunnels. Some prisoners are caught, some escape. John and Jerry do both.
Oh, great. There's something weird about this. Gosh.
Now, I did plan to leave the Not So Great Train Robbery as it is, but people seem to like John and Jerry so much after that, and the Not So Great Escape, as it was originally called, seemed so ideal for the two. So I spent a long while trying to think of something more original than just simply letting John and Jerry get away, or end up back in prison, because that was sort of the ending for the last 2 episodes. So maybe they are caught, but are then let free? Now, who on Sodor would be so genuinely kind as to let 2 fugitives escape?
Ooh, look, a butterfly!
Oh, shut up, Peter Sam.
I love the Skarloey engines. Season 4 is my favourite season because of the astonishing, beautiful model work that the smaller narrow gauge engines sort of allowed. David Midson and his team clearly did all the research into sort of North Wales scenery, and it really makes all the difference. I also heavily grew up with Ertls, and really wanted to have a separate episode sort of paying respect to how far I've come since playing with the little diecast as a kid. People like Thomas Van Eyck have completely mastered the art in the past of using stop motion, and so I thought it'd be worth giving it a go myself. I mean, I didn't do stop motion for this, it's really obvious I used strings, but yeah, we can talk about that later. I'd also never written an episode exclusively featuring Peter Sam, so that was the inspiration for this episode. I wanted the script to feature a flavour of all the drama and light humour that my own series has had over the years, but definitely blend in the chirpy relationships that the engines in Season 4 had, and sort of the ghostly atmosphere of Season 5 as well. I suppose the script may seem patchy at times because Proteus's presence doesn't actually have an explanation, but like John, Jerry and Peter Sam standing onto the edge of the ravine, I wanted to sort of leave the impression of what the hell is going on? Like, you know, they're just as confused as hopefully you were when you first saw it. The episode sort of ends with no explanation because Proteus will be back at some point, so I can give him a proper purpose apart from just preventing crimes, you know. But I'd heavily recommend you go and binge watch Enterprising Engine 93's content instead, because Proteus was entirely inspired by his work, and as is all of my series, so yeah, go and watch his videos. Go away. As for Peter Sam, I don't want people to have the impression that he's just a mix of, say, Paxton and Henry. The way I see Peter Sam is he's the most youthfully spirited of the Skarloey engines. Well, you know, like aside Ivor Hugh, who's actually the youngest. His natural personality is optimistic and often a little bit gullible and sort of liable to jump to conclusions. I always see him as being the one who will uplift the mood in a sad situation, whilst not entirely being aware perhaps of what the situation is.
You're jealous. Don't worry, soothed Peter Sam. The engines all tease me about my special funnel until they learned how useful it is.
I'm running late. I won't have time to mend this one bad stretch of track outside one of the stations.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen anyway?
Therefore, in this episode, he's got his funnel up in the clouds a little bit, and he's at one with nature. He's just really enjoying his day, really. I mean, you can't not like Peter Sam unless you're lacking a few brain cells.
I don't know what it is, but I like the sound of that little engine.
No, I don't. Right, now that the models are done, on with the filming. I wanted to get the most difficult scenes out of the way first, so that was the quarry tunnels to begin with. You'll notice in this episode that the quality is worse here than in the rest of the video, and that's because it was filmed in a ridiculously small dark space about 4 centimeters high, like an actual tunnel environment. The tunnel walls were just moved around to form a different formation, with crushed pieces of slate sort of filling the gaps, so you couldn't tell that they were literally just blocks of wood and card. I couldn't actually get my camera to pan around inside the tunnel, so I had to use a rip-off GoPro instead, so yeah, the camera quality itself was different. After that, I filmed the opening scenes of John and Jerry running through the mountains. It would have been so time-consuming to make a mountain set from scratch just for this scene, so even though I was going to originally, instead I just filmed very close-up shots of the Thunderbird's Tracy Island model that I made last year, so budget cut there. The shot for the thieves falling down the side of the mountain was achieved with a piece of card just stuck to a block of wood from the tunnel scenes, with crushed slate sort of blue tacked on top, and then just tipped vertical with my hand. Cheap, but, you know, effective.
Oh, what? What? The ground's given way.
After that, Lakeside was the next set to be made. This featured twice in the episode, so all of the scenes were filmed in one go. It's probably a good idea to highlight the script when filming so you don't miss any scenes before you sort of dismantle a particular set and then realise you need it for a scene later on. You have to rebuild it all again, like ugh. Lakeside was filled with loads of little details that you can't really see in the darkness of the episode. But on the pier I wanted to sort of leave all sort of remnants of all the previous models that I've made in the past. So if you look really closely, you can see the old buffers from my Stepney model, life rings from the model of Zip, which later turned into Top Hat, whose monocle you can see there as well. 10 Senses stack, a lifeboat from the Startucks Trust, the factory from the Railway Thieves, more tugs and Theodore Ertles as a reference to sort of OJ, and you know, the list goes on, but you get the idea. Another thing I'd like to point out is the 00 gauge beer bottles and crates, which are sort of sitting at Lakeside. Lakeside is apparently known for the drunk. The building was lit up, sort of a last minute decision, just using a torch on my phone, which is why you can see it's a little too bright and sort of shines through the roof. I didn't actually intend to light it up originally, but I kind of needed the light in the scene, to be honest. The causeway was a completely spontaneous set that I never actually intended to make, but whilst taking down Lakeside, it made perfect sense to use the blue laminate sheets that I used for the water again. It's the same reflective sheet that I used for the the watermill set as well, and the hills are just from my old layout before I got broken, and the castle's just a toy I've had for years, so yeah, that just sort of threw all of that together with slate and a little bit of track going down the middle. Very quick and easy set, but yeah, worked pretty well as a filler, you know. Reneus Station was another last minute decision. After drawing the credits for Reneus Cabs' Fear, I really wanted to recreate the sort of iconic shot of a Talislin engine taking on water at Dolgok with models instead. I was originally going to have a piano on the platform as sort of continuity from Going the Extra Mile. Again, go and watch that and everything will make sense. So when Proteus went by, it would start sort of playing the Duncan Gets Spooked theme on its own. This idea was only scrapped in the end because it would have clashed with the theme playing over the scene anyway, and I didn't actually know how to make the piano keys seem as if they were playing by themselves in a believable way. I think the shed set and the generic rural areas are sort of pretty self-explanatory, so let's move on to the big one, the Old Iron Bridge. I was so worried that this wouldn't live up to my expectations, but I must say I'm fairly pleased with the final result, considering everything. Okay, so this is the setup for the Old Iron Bridge so far. It's really difficult to try and get it to actually sit like how I want it to. And it's not helping much. Look who's hiding in the set. The bloody cat. Hello.
You're kidding me. You're kidding me. Same problem, different cat. Hello, mind. You guys mind? I'm trying to film. Yes, nearly there. Look at the sky. And the moon. I am the definition of makeshift.
Okay, so this is the completed, hopefully, set for the Old Iron Bridge, as you can see. It's very simple, trust me, it's literally just cardboard boxes on the side, bit of blue card under the middle, and then rocks and bushes and stuff. Oh, that's the ghost engine. There you go. So yeah, managed to fix the moon. It's very simple, it's literally just my old phone. Oh god, you can't see it. But yeah, with a little bit of card in front. There's a circle. You can just see it there. Samsung. 2 black towels. And yeah, the fog machine is there. Luckily it's painted black, so you probably can't see it. And the wire just goes through the boxes here, and it's green now. So the camera's on a tripod. I'm gonna test it in the light. I can actually see what I'm doing. This tripod's way too tall. Let's just zoom in. Actually no, doesn't matter, does it? Ooh! I like this. The only problem is it's ridiculously hot in here now. But we live. Ow, ow, ow. I just sounded like a horse. The very last shot to be taken was the Ertl slate truck falling into the river. Credit goes to the Jam Tram because I was originally going to use his 4 slate trucks in a row with my 5th one, and have them all fall into the river. But, you know, oh well. Just one seemed enough, I think. I mean, you saw how sort of terrible one slate truck looked going along the track with string, so 5 would have been a completely different story. So this is really just my kitchen sink with a plastic bag being held down by stones in the water, with the camera sort of pointing almost vertically down on a tripod, and this is just my sister dropping the truck in the water because, you know, she insisted she had to help out. So now that everything is filmed, we sit and we wait. It took Harry over 6 months to send his lines. I did get back at him by making several digs at him in the scripts though, so...
Oh, that was close. Do you know how much we'd get fined for trespassing on the railway? More than you spend on beer and Lego, that's how much. Nothing ever makes sense to you. Pay attention this time and stop playing with that Lego.
Sorry.
That's the main manifold.
What does that do, Harry?
I've no idea.
So there's the main manifold, and this must be the regulator. Aha, got it, we're off.
They're also believed to have caused a gas explosion at an industrial complex in Vickerstown, as well as stealing an array of Lego sets.
Harry just sounded like another stupid name to use, and
I don't know what it is, but I like the sound of that little engine.
No, I don't. Something about his voice seems annoying.
I edited what I could without needing lines, so like this shot of the prison sign with John and Jerry's shadows running past. This was edited from just a generic wooden sign, but I messed up whilst editing the final version and realised it said West Sodor Prison instead of East. The Skarloey sort of region is more on the east side, so the shadows were just 2 black screens with a blurry movement representing their hands moving, sort of using masking in Vegas to sort of go across the screen. The news report scenes with camera and cord are always fun to edit as well, because absolutely anything can be written along the bottom as like a news flash, and I've even predicted the future with these reports by saying ARC Productions would go bankrupt, and a few months later they did. Oops. So huge thanks to Half-Baked Hex 8 for sort of voicing Sir Handel and drawing this impression of John and Jerry, because, you know, the news report wouldn't have been the same without a proper caricature of them. I asked him to draw that way before I even started filming the episodes, but yeah, just massive thanks for that, because I can't draw. The camera may not have been the best quality, but I did try my best to sort of enhance it with the colour correcting and sharpening and things like that. So scenes like the mine collapse were filmed in complete daylight, so I'm pretty satisfied with the sort of nighttime feel and effects that the final episode sort of received and has. Proteus was pretty interesting to edit as well, and again I completely take inspiration from how Enterprising Engine 93 carries out his scenes. So for the ghostly effects, I took a shot with and without Proteus, then slowly mixed the two together. When making the white and yellow paint glow and adding some green screen fog, this really made it seem like Proteus had an air of mystery sort of about him, instead of, you know, just being a normal engine going down the line. Similarly, when Proteus disappears at the end, he's actually masked on top of the bridge with the colours enhanced and tinted over the background clip, so that when he fades away it's brighter and glowing in the foreground, and then slowly, gradually disappears. From the Railway Thieves onwards, I enhanced the colour on every clip in my episodes using colour curves, brightness and contrast, glow, and everything else that's sort of relevant, sort of boost the final image. In episodes like Fame and Fortune, a clear example of that is how soft yet bright the sunset is, and how it looks, and how the engines sort of glimmer in the light, which doesn't usually happen in trains, or at least not in Trains 2010, which is like what I use. I use so much green screening in my videos, it's unreal. Like, literally. If you look closely on top of the shed as Peter Sam sees the cat, you can actually see it's a photo I've taken of my own cat, Cooper. The same one that was making a den out of the old iron bridge then, and sort of put him, like he's sort of resting on the bridge instead. Not on the bridge. On the shed. He shouldn't be on the bridge. I'm not afraid to use my pets in videos where possible, just, you know, for the fun of it, really. I mean, Thomas and the Tortoise is obviously the best example of this. Unfortunately, a few days before the Slate Escape was uploaded, my tortoise Louis passed away unexpectedly, so I thought it was at least worth mentioning in this video. I mean, she'll be missed for sure, but you know, she did have her 3 minutes of fame. Digressing a little now, this was a pretty anomalous episode for my series. I mean, I think it's unlikely that I'll be filming any model scenes or episodes almost purely in the dark for my own channel for a while, or at least not with, you know, models. I'll do it in trains, fine. The camera certainly didn't seem to sort of be comfortable coping with the terrible lighting with the model shots, so as with continuing the plot with Proteus and the ghost engine, I haven't anything specifically in the works ready to go into production, but if I do, I think I'll switch to trains to film it instead, just to sort of mix it up, because then we've got the Railway Thieves using models, and then the not so great train robbery using trains, then the Slate Escape using models, and then we can have whatever Proteus is in next with trains again. I mean, you know, a lot of people prefer the model episodes and the efforts of going into making the sets, but I don't feel like I just want to keep filming episodes tied together with string and, you know, sort of obviously for how limiting it is. For instance, I could never have a shot of one of the Skarloey engines and one of the standard gauge engines right next to them using the models, because I use the same track. It's just Ertl models dumped on 00 gauge track, so but I could easily do it in trains, see, and it's a lot faster sometimes filming in trains. I can also do a lot more editing of the clips when filming in trains that simply sort of wouldn't work with models, so things like masking and things are a lot easier using trains. So yeah, that's it. That's the basis of how I made the Slate Escape. So I'd just like to say thank you everyone who's seen it, and thank you if you've lasted this long to the end of this video, because I've never really done a video like this before, but I thought it was sort of a nice way to just show what actually goes into making an episode, instead of you guys just seeing the final result all the time. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're bored, I guess. It's free. Please help me. I'm joking. You do what you want. Goodbye.